Hello, Star Wars fans, and welcome to the Star Wars Podcast. Thank you for joining us today. We are excited to have you here. I am joined, as always, by my fellow bro host, Jan Solo.
And I'm joined by my bro host, Ben Skywalker.
And it has been a while since the two of us have gotten together. It feels like it's been an eternity, and it's only been 3 weeks, and so much has happened to both of us. So I'm legitimately asking, how are you? What have you been up to, man? Our listeners want to know, and I want to know.
Do the listeners want to know?
I want to know, and so I expect they want to as well.
I'm doing well,
and if they don't
dude.
want to, then they're just going to have to, deal with it for a couple minutes.
I'm doing well. As you can see, and listeners at home or in the car or whatever, you're just going to have to picture this, but we're about to move, and I'm surrounded by boxes. And we've done a pretty good job of getting a jump on packing, but that means living out of boxes for a few weeks.
It's frustrating, man, I know.
And you know, because you just moved.
Yes, we did. And I was surrounded and still am surrounded by boxes, and it's going to be forever until I see the light of day again because I'm just surrounded by pieces of cardboard.
But for me, the good feeling is always like once the move is done, like just getting your crap into the right house.
Yep.
Like that, once that's out of the way, that's a huge relief.
Oh, so we moved on Monday this past week, and that was the relief point. It was like, all right, the movers are leaving, and I don't have to see them anymore. I spent all day with them, and I don't want to see their faces ever again, kind of thing. Even though we hired the same movers a couple times ago, twice. We really liked them. We didn't this time because they couldn't. They worked during the week. So anyway, you don't need to hear about that, everybody. But yeah, so we're both I just moved. You're in the process of moving. Life has been busy for us, but we still take time out of our day to make sure we talk a little bit of Star Wars and bring you some great conversation about Star Wars.
We both scoped out our new places and thought, well, that might be a good spot.
We both have set up like good podcasting spots in our new places.
So we're going to have, we're announcing it now, Starbro Studios East and West. And I'm not sure if I'm east or west of you, but that's what we'll call it. Even if you're north of
west, or maybe we just call it east and less east.
East and less east. Yes, but
we're still very east for a
we're gonna have Starbro Studios, and pretty soon, I mean, like in the next month or so, we're gonna be broadcasting from one of those places or recording from one of them.
How about both? Not simultaneously, but we switch on and off. It'll be a lot of fun. You might hear kids in the background be like, "Oh, I know whose house we're at that time."
Yep.
And other times you might hear Chewbacca in the background. You know whose house we are at.
Correct.
So, listeners, it'll be fun for you to figure out where are we today when we're recording. We'll start doing a pop quiz every time.
But hey, by the way, I'm excited because in your new place, you're going to have your own workspace. You're going to have your own office because we're still in the middle of the pandemic and people are working from home who are lucky enough to be able to work from home.
Yeah.
So you're going to have your own spot.
I am going to have my own spot, and it's going to be half office, half podcasting studio.
I love it.
And more importantly, just hobby room galore.
Yeah.
So I thought of it today because there's obviously 4 walls in there, and I was like, it kind of represents my 4 hobbies. And you've got hockey on one side, you've got Star Wars,
pro wrestling.
Hobbies? What?
Pro wrestling, Dallas Cowboys football.
Exactly.
And archery.
You know me so well. No, but it was just like looking around and seeing like all of my hobbies just in this one location kind of made me feel happy.
Awesome.
Like it's my little zone.
That
like,
is your spot.
It's the only place in the house I can kind of claim.
Well, hey, I got you something.
Oh gosh, really?
A little office warming gift.
Yay!
Believe it or not, it's in one of these many boxes.
Let's tell our listeners. I looked at one of your boxes and saw Den, and I'm so tired that I looked from across the room. I was like, does that say Ben? Please say no.
That's where we were going to put you.
But you did get me a box.
I got you. Tell the listeners what you got.
This is awesome. It is a Star Wars special edition wireless mouse for my office so that I can, put Darth Vader in the palm of my hand, apparently.
Yeah, use Darth Vader to slay some spreadsheets or whatever.
That's exactly what I'm going to be doing this thing. Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
I wish I could say I had something for you, but I don't. Even after 3 weeks and going on vacation, I don't have something.
It's okay, dude. It's okay. One of the things that's just wonderful about working from home is you can geek out your workspace as much as you want because it's yours.
Yeah. And it's funny because the angle that I'll be on video, like no one will be able to see it.
Yeah.
Or they'll see like my hockey picture.
Yep.
Because I've got an autograph like Jim Craig. I think you've seen it, right? From the 1980 Olympics.
Jenny's husband.
What's that?
Jenny's husband.
Jenny's husband.
Jenny Craig.
Jenny Craig. Really?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm like, do I? Is that what her name is? Really?
That moment, that's the moment that somebody turned the podcast off.
There's like they're just talking. They're not even talking Star Wars
This
yet,
is
and they're
terrible.
5 minutes in. What's their problem? I don't know Jenny Craig, but Jim Craig, yeah, the
Jenny
goalie
Craig-
for the 1980 Olympics team.
Jenny Craig, the weight loss program.
Is that? I don't know who that is.
Okay.
I've never tried to lose weight. Maybe that's why. What does that say? Oops.
Jim Craig.
I should know that probably then.
No, it's okay, dude.
Or maybe I'll know it soon because I'll need to lose some weight. Maybe I'll just do a couple more moves and I'll lose some weight that way. Jeez. But no, thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Enjoy. Happy spreadsheeting and double clicking and scrolling. And yeah,
I will feel the power of the Force in the palm
you'll
of my
feel the
hand.
power. May your batteries last a long time.
Is that the may the Force be with you for spreadsheet geeks?
I guess so.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Actually, for
anyway,
spreadsheets, you're not supposed to use the mouse, right? Like real legit Excel bros all use
only
keyboard.
use the keyboard?
Yep.
I use mostly the keyboard, but I still
Really?
got to use the mouse from time to time.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it's
just-
there. It's such a useful tool.
It's so useful. Why set that aside? You're just beating yourself up trying to.
Especially if it looks this cool. Why would you not use it?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I wish I had something for you now.
No,
I mean,
it's
I did
okay.
see some Star Wars stuff in Tennessee, so I should have gotten you, but it's nothing that I couldn't get you online or from,
Don't worry about it. You just moved into your new place. Happy clicking.
thank you.
Welcome.
Well, should we get to the episode? Or is there anything else about what's gone on in the last few days that we should talk about?
No, this is our inaugural Olympics episode.
Yeah.
We've never recorded during the Olympics, and that's probably the last thing we'll say about it.
Yeah. It's been fun to watch.
It has been fun.
So what's been going on in the world of Star Wars?
Ooh,
No.
good
All right.
segue.
That was that was an awful segue. What are you talking about? So let's get to our first segment. News from across the galaxy.
A couple of big things. A couple of really big things in Star Wars news. You're still giggling.
I am still giggling.
The first one, I think, came out yesterday, and that was the Galactic Starcruiser trailer and pricing was released.
Yes.
So for anybody who's not familiar, they are, I guess, still in the process of building a Star Wars resort at Disney World and Disneyland. And the Star Wars resort is all-inclusive, well, mostly inclusive, because you stay within the resort. You pay a resort fee, and we'll get to the fees in a second. But basically, it looks like you're inside of a Starcruiser.
Mm-hmm.
You go in your cabin, you look out the window, you don't see Florida, you see instead
Space.
space, the landscape of space with stars and galaxies and whatever.
The final frontier.
It looks amazing. It looks really
Star Trek
amazing.
Sorry.
And it's expensive.
Yes.
It's really expensive.
Now, you're talking about the resort or the cruise right now?
I'm talking about the resort.
Okay.
And what I said yesterday was the only way that I feel like that price would make sense would be if you actually went into space. So it's
If you're Jeff Bezos.
if you're space cowboy Jeff Bezos, sure. It is $1,200 per person for up to 3 people per night.
Per night.
Per night.
That's insane.
And what the main package, it's kind of a LARPing thing. Do you know what LARPing is?
No.
Live action role playing. It's sort of like
yes.
a real life RPG.
Yes.
But that's kind of built into the experience. So you can walk around. I can't remember what the name of the different Star Cruisers are, but you can walk around the resort. You can go and eat and shop and take a bunch of really good photos, I'm sure, and meet cast members and so on. Or you can do all that stuff and get involved in a story, a live action RPG where you interact with the different actors over the course of 2 days to do different types of missions and whatever. And they have kid-friendly ones and whatever.
Yeah. There's supposed to be like you can do lightsaber battles and stuff.
It's you can be completely immersed in the Star Wars universe.
Totally. Yeah.
But so they recommend some of those are about 2 days long. So you have some interaction with cast members and you try to solve a puzzle or a riddle, or you go off and you have some lightsaber battles, like you said. So $1,200 times, up to 3 people for 2 days. That's the same as like a trip to Japan. Like,
Yeah.
it gets really expensive really quickly.
And you just went to Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, it's not that far, but
For us, it's not
it's
so
still
bad.
24 hours drive and,
Yeah. Or
3 hour, 4 hour flight.
right.
3.
Once you have more than 3 people, I think it drops down to $900.
Per
So
night still.
stay an extra night. Go crazy. You're saving a bunch of
still,
money.
For my family of 5, we're getting close to $5,000 a night.
Yes.
And if we wanted to stay there for 3 nights, we're $15,000?
Yes.
That's insanity.
Yeah.
Is it? Or am I just, I don't know.
No, it's insane. it's insane. I wouldn't be surprised if like a year from now there's a lot of like party of one staying in one bunk bed.
Yeah.
Because it's just so steep. I was thinking about like
There's just a bunch of single guys going in there, or
Yes.
like guys that left their spouses behind. Like,
Yes.
honey, let me go do my lifetime moment here.
Like-
and it's my midlife crisis. I need this.
right. Like my wife is a good sport. My wife appreciates Star Wars and appreciates that I love Star Wars. But I think if I were to ask her to spend $1,200 a night on herself to go and stay at Galactic Starcruiser, I think she'd pass
She'd be
on
like,
it.
I'm going to Switzerland with that. Thank you.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So
I don't blame her either.
I don't blame her, but
I mean, maybe a little bit. The Star Wars fan in me blames her.
Yeah,
But,
well, yeah.
I mean,
but it looks amazing.
it does.
It looks like an amazing experience that you'll never forget.
And what this is, let's be very clear. I don't know if Disney will. I don't exactly know their strategy with some of these things. Like, do they eventually lower the prices and they become a little bit more feasible, something that everybody can stomach? But this is a classic economic principle of price discrimination. Here we go, economics 101 for everybody now. Mm-hmm. But price discrimination is the idea that you charge people the price that they are willing to pay and get what you want. And airlines do this all the time because you get one guy that's like, I'm willing to pay $600 for this flight, and they will pay $600 for their ticket to get what they want out of it. Then someone else will only pay $300. And sometimes you get 2 people sitting side by side to each other that pay completely different prices.
Often, yeah.
Right? It's the best way to make the most profit. And that's kind of what Disney is doing here, right? They're saying, what is the best way to profit off this? Well, charge the people that want to come the most that we can charge them. And that's who they get in at the doors first. And then over time, they start to lower that price potentially.
Yeah.
As they start to see where the price meets the real demand and how do they get, fill capacity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I do think these will come down in price at some point if they're following those. But then again, Disney also has the other problem, which is not really a problem. This isn't a problem for them. People will pay it. They'll just keep coming. Like, Disney has always been expensive. It's always been this like astronomical price tag attached to them, and people pay it.
People will pay it, and they're going to have their diehards. And I think
Yes.
I'm thinking back to the last time that my wife and I were in Disney, which I think was like 2018, late 2018. And I remember being on the monorail and talking to another couple that was like around our age, and they said that they had just gotten married, and that they were on day like 13 of 15 nights that they were spending at Disney. And it's like, what is that? What is it?
Do you have a job?
And you could just tell
did it all go to this?
they were the people who, on the flight home or the drive home or whatever, were going to start planning the trip back.
The next vacation.
Yep.
To Disney.
Yeah.
Wow. And having been someone that's only gone to Disney, I think twice in my life, I can't even remember, honestly, the last, like, how many times or what I did there. Because I was a kid. Like, I haven't been there in forever. And
really?
I
Okay.
would love to go.
Yeah.
But I can't justify the price tag.
It's horrible.
It's really difficult for me. Like, I enjoy a good vacation like the next person, but I also need to it needs to make sense for me. Like, I actually have to have the money to spend on that. And I most of the time don't.
Well, there's going to be people lining up, I'm sure, falling over each other to pay $1,200 a night.
Yes.
And it's going to be sold out for a while.
Exactly.
And they're going to get,
even if it's just one night that they get.
Yeah.
Maybe that's all they want. Maybe that's all they need.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I still really want to go to Batu because I would love to make a lightsaber. And I will justify the $200 a pop, even if I have to bring my son with me to spend another $200 to do it. Like, that makes sense. But at some point, there's a
And that's built in, by the way.
what's that?
Into Galactic Starcruiser is they have daily excursions to Batu.
Oh, really?
Yep.
And do you get all that stuff included, or is it
No.
like extra? It has to be extra.
It's extra.
Yeah, of course it is.
But I think they ship you over there for free. They drive you over there so that, you go out and spend even more money.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, they ship you over there for free or whatever, but it's because it still needs to feel like you're in space, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Right? Like it's got to
Yeah.
feel like you're going at light speed.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm sure that all that is probably just a feast for the senses. It's probably so entertaining.
And that's why the price tag is justified in my mind.
I think it is. I probably
I'm complaining about it, I know, but
I know, but I think we'll watch it. I'll probably go at some point in my life. I'll say that.
yes.
And when I do, I'll probably just be like, "This is so worth it."
I can't tell you how many times, even in our like I saw this twice on social media within a matter of minutes when this was announced, say, I've got a partially used kidney, who wants it? I'm willing to sell it.
Yep.
People are willing to do whatever it takes,
Totally.
even fictitiously, to get there.
I think what's
Count me
killing
in.
some people is that this coming year we've got Celebration
Yeah.
and Galactic Starcruiser is going to open.
All of this, it's like,
And it's like, I only have so many organs to sell,
yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually this wallet runs a little dry.
Eventually
so-
I'm just a head in a jar, like in Futurama.
Yeah, exactly. Can I just send like my surrogate robot there and I can like just look at it through the screen? Does
That's
that
only
cost me-
$1,100 a night
Oh, okay.
per
cool.
robot.
To let him sleep in a bed as if I'm there.
Dude, I can't wait though, because I'm going to live vicariously through other people's social media posts and all the videos that people put up on
I
YouTube
already
and whatever.
do. That's how I've been to Batu so far. Just
That's
like,
true.
That looks like fun, except the ride. Like you can't really.
Well, the whole Rise of Resistance is on YouTube.
I figured it was. I haven't gone out. To
Is
look.
it Rise of the Resistance? It's Rise of the Resistance.
I can't remember, but I know. Yeah, I can't
But
remember the full.
They put it up during the pandemic when people were stuck at home.
Oh yeah, that's
I think
right.
it's like 29 minutes long or something. It's like half an hour. It's like an episode of The Bad Batch.
Yeah.
How's that for a transition?
That's a great transition. So at the 17-minute mark when we're like, oh, okay, we need to move on from this topic. I've since talked economics and everything. Like it's time to move on.
Well, we're excited about it, and
Yes.
we're going to be talking a bunch more about Galactic
And
Starcruiser.
hey, this is a great time to support the Star Bros podcast. If you would like to sign up for an inaugural $1,200 for to support us, we would be more than happy, and we will go and tell you exactly how the Galactic
That should be a Patreon tier, Galactic Starcruiser patron.
sponsor our trip to Disney.
It's only $2,400 a month.
And we'll tell you exactly how it is and make you wish that you were there.
Yep.
And then realize that you should have spent it on that. Anyway, we're not running a charity here. Let's go back to the Bad Batch.
Running a charity.
Season 2 of the Bad Batch is officially announced.
Is it official?
It's official, right?
It's official.
It is.
It is official.
Has been
It's official
announced.
as of today. Another one hot off the
Yes.
presses.
Did you see this coming?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah,
Me too.
I mean, just based on the fan reaction and the insane amount of support that the show's gotten, I just, it was a foregone conclusion. It was just a matter of time of when we would hear that there'd be another season.
Also, I agree with that. And the way that the stories have been told have been very similar to Clone Wars. There's been little bite-sized pieces along
Yeah.
the way, and that is not something like if it was trying to tell this big, long, epic story within one season, kind of like a lot of the live-action stuff, like Loki that just aired, or some of the shows that we'll get to later are likely to do. It didn't do that. It was like, okay, here's a little story, like tidbit here, tidbit there, and you can tell it's kind of building up to something bigger.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people were kind of expecting the end of season 1 to be this big fight. Like I was kind of envisioning this fight between the clones and the Kaminoans.
Yeah.
And the new empire, like all out war, which I'm still kind of holding out for. I think that would be really cool if that's what they do, but
Could happen.
it could, but I'm not going to say that's what should happen either. But I was like, is that going to happen this season? Is that where we're going to get? And it doesn't appear like that's the case. It's just little tidbit stories. So that tells me there's more to tell,
Yeah.
right? So not at all surprised.
Cool. Yeah. I just, you look at all the fan art people are creating, all the
Yeah.
different ways that people are investing into the different characters and the stories and so on, and you can just tell that they have a fan base that's super engaged and will show up in a big way for season 2. The fan base is probably still continuing to grow as well.
Oh yeah, I think Omega's become a fan favorite in a lot of ways, and people are just really excited to see where she goes. And they haven't really wrapped up that storyline, so or that character arc, So we got a lot more to explore with all of these characters. I feel like there's even at the end of the season, there's going to be stuff we want to know about what happens to Hunter next, what happens to Echo, what happens to Tech, what happens to Crosshair, like and Omega, like every single one of them. Did I leave it? Wrecker, like
one of your favorites, one of my favorites.
Wrecker is my favorite, but you're kind of invested in each one of them. They've kind of each developed in their own way, but no arc is on the downslope. Yeah, or at least to me. So we got 2 episodes left of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that in a second. Episodes 12, 13, and 14 are the ones that we need to cover real quick. Before we move on to our main story. So let's start with episode 12, which was Rescue on Ryloth. So this was part 2 of a 2-parter episode where we go to Ryloth and meet Hera, young Hera, and her parents. And by the end of the episode previously, Hera's parents are captured, and Hera's now on the run. And we kind of come at a point where the Empire is hunting her down. It's just a matter of time before they find her. And Hera decides to reach out to that new friend she just made, Omega, and seek their help to save her parents. So what did you think of this episode, having just recently watched it again?
Yep. I think one of the things that you just mentioned is one of the main things that stands out to me is the fact that Hera reaches out to Omega, and then Omega implores the Bad Batch to help, as she does, I think, in a bunch of different episodes.
A ton of times.
And that, I think, was the first time that I noticed that in some way, Omega is almost like the conscience of the Bad Batch.
Absolutely.
The almost like unfiltered, uncynical, or not yet cynical conscience of the Bad Batch. And why wouldn't you help if you can?
She wants to help every single person that she can.
Yeah. Which I just think is such a nice counterpoint to 4, rough and tumble warriors who are known for being able to take on outsized foes and being able to do an impossible job and being sort of cunning and whatever and rough and tough, and
who had the wisdom to know when to walk away from a fight or a battle and not get involved too.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they're in the position where they have to kind of get involved to get paid.
Right.
And that's kind of their MO now, is just kind of staying alive and staying afloat. It's much different in Omega's mind. Like, she doesn't see it that way.
She doesn't see it that way. I think she sees like pure right and wrong.
Yep.
And just to help if you can, which I thought was really sweet. And I noticed that more because I shared with you earlier that I actually didn't watch the last 3 episodes right as they came out. I instead I binged them all in a day. Mm-hmm. And so I had a couple of weeks to reflect on the episodes we'd seen and then sort of see the show with a fresh set of eyes. And that was a big theme that jumped out at me, and it started with this episode of just her being the conscience of the group.
She has a very simple way
conscience
of articulating that conscience as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of childlike.
Yeah.
Like, we should help them. That is what we should do.
Yeah.
It is pure and simple. There's no frills about it.
Very straightforward.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's good, so we do it.
Yeah.
Right. And so like she just has a very interesting way of articulating those perspectives. Mm-hmm. The other thing I really liked about this episode though was Hauser. Mm-hmm. And I got a lot of feels of the part 1 of this where, you could tell that something was different, that he was seeing everything and observing everything that was happening on Ryloth and didn't really agree with all of it and was questioning some of it. And then at this one, it was very heavy-handed. He was questioning what the Empire was doing. He's like, that wasn't anyone on Ryloth that took that shot, right? That wasn't anyone in Cham Syndulla's party that did that, right? You know that. And he's like, so who was it? What are you going to say about it? Like, the commander, I can't remember his name now. Hauser is interesting because I guess he's not affected by the chip.
I was trying to figure that out. Yeah.
And maybe he is, but he's able to overcome because he's just looking at things like, what we're doing is not right here, guys. and he stands up to, in front of all of them in the face of death
At great personal risk.
and realizes that it's better that he get captured and at worst killed than to let Cham and them be, what's the word I'm looking for? Kept in prison.
Yeah.
Even though they haven't done really anything wrong, right?
Yep.
So anyway, it's falsely imprisoned. That's the word I was looking for.
Yep.
So anyway, I just think that was a really good character to throw in there, and I hope that we get to see a little bit more of him personally.
I hope so too. Yeah.
Anything else that really stood out?
No, I think we hit the main things. So where do we go from there?
Well, maybe a couple more things before we move on.
Yes, please.
Hera getting to fly finally.
Yes.
I thought that was really cool.
Yep.
They're kind of her first solo flight. We got to witness that. I loved that. And Hera and Omega's relationship,
Yep.
right? The fact that they hug at the end, they're just really grateful for each other. They seem to be on the same page.
Yeah, but then really sadly, they have to be separated.
They have to be separated. Maybe there's a reunion somewhere at some point.
I hope so. But that was also a good reminder that these are children. Omega's a kid.
Yeah.
She doesn't get to pick everything she does and who she goes with and whatever.
Or just think that like the Hera that we see later in life, how she's been changed for the better because of Omega.
Yeah.
Now, and then Crosshair gets his mission, which was, I was like, this is something we've been waiting for this whole entire series, for Crosshair to get more into the action.
That's really been built up longer than I thought it would have been.
And well, spoiler for where we're getting to with episode 14. I kind of knew that he had a hand in what was going on in that episode, in episode 14, War Mantle, or War Mantle. I got Mantel Mix on the mind, I guess.
What's Mantel Mix?
That's the like popcorny thing that they eat at the end of every mission. Wrecker and Omega do. The
That's
Mantel
right.
Mix. Yeah.
War Mantel. Maybe that is what it's called.
That's what I thought of when I saw it. It's War Mantle.
War Mantel Mix.
No, I think it was War Mantle.
That's like a Jeopardy before and after. War Mantel Mix.
What is War Mantel Mix?
What is War Mantel?
Come on, man. You've seen this more than I have. I got you on that. But maybe that's what were we saying with War Mantle? I didn't expect that his scheme would be so elaborate that you would never even see him involved in it. Mm-hmm. So that was interesting. But Crosshair gets his mission. But then we get to episode 13, which is Infected. So tell us a little bit about this one.
After you, please.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Oh, fine. Or whatever. So we go back to Ord Mantell. The Bad Batch have just come back from a mission that we don't know much about. Sound like there were some missing details. They're frustrated with Sid. And then they find out that Sid has been supplanted.
Sid's not there anymore, yeah.
By Roland is the man's name. And he doesn't seem too friendly, does he? But they start to leave and they're like, all right, we're getting off of Ormanto. We have no idea what's happened to Sid. She's gone. Maybe she's even dead. Oh, well. And then we get Omega coming back and like, guys, we got to find her.
There again, we see the conscience of the Bad Batch.
That innocent conscience. Right?
And from my perspective as a viewer, I'm thinking, okay, well, their debt is paid. If there's nobody to pay the debt to, they are free and clear. They have to find some type of gainful employment. Again, they have to find their way through the galaxy, but it's like they're off the hook.
Yes.
But
if they want to be.
And
but
Omega
then
says...
they've got another pickle. They don't have any money now.
Right, so they have to find a way to make a living. But Omega calls out, and I don't remember if she says it right at that point or another point, but she says something to the effect of, she helped us, or she helped you guys when you needed it, and now she needs help.
Yeah. We got to find her. We got to help her.
Yeah.
And then she just happens to be right behind him hearing this whole conversation.
Yep.
Like, glad that somebody cares about me.
Yeah.
Like, she likes this kid, but she treats her like crap, and she doesn't even realize it sometimes, I think.
And what does she call Omega? She calls her Tiny?
Tiny.
Yep.
Yeah. You tell him Tiny is what she says. Right.
Adorable.
So we get Roland, this, I guess, kind of intimidating. He doesn't seem that intimidating. He's got a couple of goons that are in his posse that are helping him out, but he does something about him doesn't seem intimidating. And later on in the episode, you find out, he was in over his head. Yeah. This whole entire time. So the whole premise is that he's taking a delivery of spice for the Pikes, and he's in what's the word?
Cahoots.
Yeah, that works. He's in cahoots with the Pikes, and yeah, he's waiting for this delivery so that he can, join their group, or at least gain favor with them. And then they go into this cavern where it's very spooky. There's a lot of webbing, and you do not want to see what comes out of it. So they're very quiet in it. They get their spice, but also get caught in the process. And eventually you see these creatures fly out. So I was rewatching them today. My daughter was downstairs as they were flying out of the cavern, and she started screaming.
Yeah, it really got her. Okay,
It got her. So I don't know. What'd you think of that whole part?
I thought it was really creepy, but I think we discussed ahead of time that when we saw the episode title, that we knew it was going to be something like that.
Oh yeah.
We didn't exactly know what it was going to be, but just the title, and I think we talked about how it reminded us of that one Clone Wars episode that was, one of our Halloween episodes that we covered. With the silvery slug things that went up their noses and all that.
Yep.
So I pictured something like that. And I pictured a bit of like some jump scare and some creepiness and some creepy crawlies and whatever.
Spoopiness.
Some real spoopiness.
I was just thinking of Chris that whole entire time. I was just like, oh, there's webs.
Yep.
Where there's webs, there might be spiders. And where there are spiders, there's a Chris trembling in a corner.
Chris says, that was great. I can never watch it again.
Yep, exactly. Nope, not doing that again. No, but this is one thing I'll say. The animation was really good.
I thought so too.
The bug guts stuff was
I
gross,
thought
but
so,
that's really well done.
I thought it was really well done. And I sometimes contrast it in my mind to like early seasons of the Clone Wars where it looked like they were still kind of, I don't know. I think the technology was there, but maybe it definitely wasn't at the level it's at now. Maybe the level of investment and care and stuff that they put into the story and the content eventually wasn't all there yet.
Yeah.
It just seemed like this is all very cinematic stuff. And you just got this new TV.
I did, yes.
And an episode like this must be great to watch on your new TV in your new house.
Oh, man. It was amazing. So I figured with the new house, I would finally get to set up the theater room that I wanted to, and got as good picture quality and screen size as I could get. And as I'm watching this episode, you could see every individual strand of webbing in there, and I'm just going, how did the animators do this?
It's amazing.
It's amazing. And you've mentioned before you would love to see the Big Batch on the big screen. This is the kind of quality you would get. Like, they've taken time to pay attention to the details all the way down to these little strands, which was very impressive. So, and then even just like using with the light, like they use the light to scare off those creatures. Like, that was really well done animation wise. So I was really impressed this whole time. I like this. I don't think people loved this episode, and I think it grew on me the more I watched it. But it definitely wasn't up there with some of people's favorites of this season.
Yeah, I think I saw that in the reaction that I saw like on Twitter and stuff.
Yeah. To me, what really got interesting, what made it as good as it was when you saw the switch in Roland. When he's caught, he's failed. The Pikes have come. They're disappointed.
Yeah.
His head is on the line. He could die at any second if this doesn't go the way the Pikes want.
The Pikes are pretty scary, by the way.
Oh my gosh, they are. Yes.
Just the voice and the appearance and just their intimidation factor.
They're not even phased when they get blasters pulled on them. They're just like, really? You want to do this?
Right.
Do you know the fire that can rain down on you if you pull that trigger? Like, they're freaky.
Yeah.
So you do not want to mess with them. And he learns. I was in over my head with them.
Can I ask a question?
No.
I will save it for later.
Just kidding. Go ahead.
What is spice?
Oh, isn't it used for drugs?
That's what I think, but they never really show people.
Want to buy some death sticks?
Go home and reconsider your life.
I'm going to right now. This podcast is over.
I don't know what it is. I mean, I assume it's not a great thing, and we've seen the spice mines on Kessel and whatever, and it doesn't seem like getting it is anything but terrible. It doesn't seem like shipping it is anything but smugglers and other terrible stuff, and the underworld and crime bosses and whatever. So
if crime bosses want it, it can't be good.
It can't be good, right?
It can't be used for anything good.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that it can be used. It's an ingredient that can be used in a few things, but one of the big things is some sort of drug.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe we can Google it real quick and just double check ourselves. So But I thought that was the best part, was just seeing him be humbled.
Yeah.
And it's very sad when he loses his horn, but even just Omega and sticking up for him. And her reasoning, well, Ruby likes him, so
Yeah.
he must be good.
Yeah.
He must have a good heart.
Again, just completely not cynical, childlike, and there's really sweet things about that.
And I hate to say this, and this is very unpopular, but she's kind of wrong. But
How dare you?
What?
The Twitterverse will now rain down fire on you as if they were the Pikes and you'd stolen their spice.
They'll send Pikes to my door. This will not be good. No, but she's kind of wrong. Like, he still is. He's kind of bad for what he's done, right?
Yeah.
And I hate to say he kind of deserved what happened, right? But it feels a little bit like a naive way of thinking. She is right, though, that we should give people the benefit of the doubt and be more forgiving. And that's where she is right. But I feel like as you become adults, you learn the reality is that it takes a long time, not just moments, for people to earn that forgiveness.
Yeah, to come back from something. You just
back.
can't instantly. And he hardly had a chance to. And she just sort of extended really graciously that opportunity. And it doesn't make sense as an adult looking at it from the outside.
Yeah. So what I should say isn't necessarily that she was wrong. It's just that she still has a little bit of something to learn. Like,
I think there's probably an episode coming up where she gets burned really badly in some way.
I wonder if that would happen.
And unfortunately, that's how some growing up is done.
And so we'll probably still see some of that.
Yeah.
Let's get to episode 14 though, because we're burning through some minutes pretty fast here. War Mantle.
Yeah.
I loved this episode, and I think this quickly became a very big fan favorite for a lot of people.
Well, lots of action and the reintroduction of Crosshair, and also a very gonky moment.
Yes.
In fact, the gonk droid becomes... Well, there are two bookend moments. One of them is where they talk about, and I can't remember who in the Bad Batch is saying it to Omega, but the gonk is faulty or something. The gonk... Defective. So not working in the way that they would expect. But towards the end, the gonk is one of the heroes of the episode.
Yeah.
And that, they plug him in. And for anybody who doesn't know, a gonk droid is essentially a roving, walking power source.
Yep.
It's a massive battery. You're out in the desert in Tatooine or something, your gonk droid walks over to you and charges. This is before solar.
Save your life.
What's that?
Could literally save your life.
Could save your life. This is before solar, so that was not an option.
Right.
So the gonk is a giant walking battery. Also a piece of workout equipment on the ship.
For Wrecker, yeah.
If you're a Wrecker.
He's just been wandering around for so many episodes. And you're like, what purpose will he have? And he gets to have his purpose.
He gets to have his purpose, and it's an important one. And the ship is operational thanks to the juice that he gives it.
Yes.
So
he kind of gets R2'd a bit. He gets
a little
fried
bit, yep.
for his efforts, and but he's still the hero.
Still the hero. Yeah, a little bit of a sacrifice, but
glad you brought that up, because I was thinking the exact same thing. I wrote Gonky gets a job.
Gonky gets a job. That's correct. Yeah, and an important one, and one that will be memorable too.
Right. But the rest of this episode, yeah, like you said, there's a ton of action. It starts off with a trooper running through the jungle, trying to escape this base that we can't see. Something is intimidating about it though, and we later find out that it's Gregor who is in Rebels, and so he's one of those troopers that's with Rex later on when we find him. So this is kind of how he gets back into the story, which was really cool to see.
What's going on with Rex in this episode, though?
I don't know. That's a good question, because he said, "I can't do it, guys. Can you do it for me?"
Yep, and then he has to go. He's like, "I can't even tell you. I'm
getting chased right now."
He's hooded and shrouded and shadowed, and he hangs up real quick.
Yeah, not sure at all. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe we won't.
Sounds like quite a pickle he's in.
Yes, it does.
Leave it at that.
I don't know where to go from there. But then of course Omega comes in and it's just like, we got to save him. That's what we do. Who cares that we have a job that Sid sent us on? Yeah, we got to go do this. So they go because it's Rex. I like Echo's moment in this too, because Echo's like, this is a trooper that is being imprisoned. Of course we should go after him. I was imprisoned. You came after me, and saved me. Like, it's the same thing. Like, because they were treating him like we're going after a reg. We're going after a guy that's like kind of mocked us for such a long time too. Like we're not on the same page with them. Echo's like, guys, I'm a reg. Don't forget that. And we should go after him because I trust Rex. So obviously I think this is worth it.
Yeah.
So I thought like giving Echo that moment was really special.
Yeah, I like that too.
But yeah, a great episode. A lot of nostalgia. Do you want to talk about that? The fact that it just looked like the Empire.
Yeah.
Tons of Empire nods here.
Yeah.
With the aesthetic, with the troopers, the TK number, people freaked out about that.
Yep.
Like, we got our first confirmation of stormtroopers and TKs, which was really cool. And then, you know, they try to do this escape, and it doesn't really go... It goes well for some of them, but it doesn't for Hunter.
Yeah.
So we've got ourselves set up for a pretty good finale, I think, here.
I think so, and we end the episode with Hunter and Crosshair face to face.
Yeah.
And you and I were talking about before the microphones were on, is this the way that they find their way back to being the whole Bad Batch again?
Eventually. There's going to be a lot of conflict leading up to it, for sure.
Probably.
Trying to save Hunter. I think you try to save Hunter, Crosshair gets hurt in the middle of it, and you take him with you, remove the chip, and he comes back to his normal, happy-go-lucky self, which is not really
not all that happy and go lucky, but his normal self.
But hopefully normal self that can think straight.
Yeah.
Which that's kind of what I hope, and I think would be a great end to season 1.
Yeah.
But also setting up some more conflict. We'll see what that ends up looking like.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that more when we get to the last 2 episodes. But I'm now excited for it because of the conflict they set up with it.
Me too.
And the last point I'll make was it was really interesting that at the in the middle of this season, it was Omega that was kidnapped, and Hunter needed to come back for her. And now it's Hunter that's imprisoned, and Omega is going to be the one saying we need to go back from it.
Love
trying
it.
to figure out. It's just changing the narrative just a little bit, and and Omega wanting to repay that favor probably.
Love it.
Should be interesting. Anything else?
I think that covers it. And we'll be talking about it more, talking about the show more in the future, not too distant future, that is.
The not too distant future, not at all. So let's get to our second segment. More to the story.
More to the story. And what are we talking about today?
We are talking about 3 things today. 3 upcoming series that we're going to get on Disney Plus.
Small screen Star Wars magic.
Yes. We've already seen some great success on the small screen. Bad Batch being one of them.
Yep.
Mandalorian being another.
Massive hits.
And we've got a lot more coming. So we're going to talk about the 3 that are coming soon. So starting with Book of Boba Fett, Andor next, and then Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Jan, why are we talking about these?
Well, so we don't know a whole lot about them.
So why are we?
So we're talking about them because we know that we have great Star Wars content coming, and we're going to do a little bit of prognosticating.
Yes.
We're going to do a little bit of looking into the future and trying to anticipate what might be happening in these shows and what we may expect, and just doing a little bit of speculating, which we don't typically do a whole lot of.
No.
But we know some stuff. We know, I mean, look, a lot of us at this point are old enough to have lived through some Star Wars droughts.
We've seen some things.
We have, most of the after Revenge of the Sith, there was quite a drought there. But even before the prequel trilogy, there's just years and years and years where there was expanded universe novels and, comic books, which are really cool and stuff. But there was no new canon stuff for a long time.
Live action
canon stuff.
Yeah.
Now we're getting live action TV shows. We're getting a brand new one this year and 2 next year, which is just mind blowing.
And what they're doing is they're filling in a lot of gaps.
Yeah.
A lot of timelines, like 19 years passed between episodes 3 and 4.
Yep.
Well, what happened during that time?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of establishing the Empire. But what did it take to do that? What did it take to establish the rebellion? And all of that is stuff we want to see.
Yeah.
So I like that they're doing this.
This is like the cement between the bricks, I feel like.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Good analogy.
Thank you.
You're great with them today.
And so we're just really excited because we have new Star Wars content to look forward to, and it's going to start this year with Book of Boba Fett.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about the series, what we know, at least at this point.
Yeah, and we don't know a whole lot, but we know that it's coming this December, and we got a little bit of a preview of it at the end of The Mandalorian Season 2, where we got Boba Fett, the character, back. And in one of the credit sequences, we broke into Boba Fett and Fennec Shand walking into Jabba's palace and shooting what's his name?
Bib Fortuna.
Bib Fortuna. Good old McClunky. Shooting Bib Fortuna and then assuming the throne. And that's pretty much all we know about where the plot of that show is going to go.
And Spotchka's involved.
There's going to be Spotchka everywhere.
Lots of drinking Spotchka.
Yep. Just rounds
Fennec
for
Shand's
everybody.
going to be drunk on Spotchka.
Yep. It's going to
Can he get
be
drunk on Spotchka?
disgraceful. So it's gonna be limited. I don't remember how many episodes we should expect of Book of Boba Fett. Do you know?
I don't think they said.
I don't think they said either. So
I'm going to guess somewhere around the same with Mandalorian, like 8 episodes. But it depends on the storytelling, which we'll get into in a second. But
yeah, so I could see 8. We know how many episodes we're going to get of the other shows, and we'll get into that. This is a little bit. It's funny. We don't know a whole lot about the structure of the series or anything like that, but we've gotten.
And it's 4 months away.
And it's a few months away. We've gotten that preview, which is more than we've gotten for Andor, and it's more than we've gotten for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, totally.
Because those are still very much in the making.
Right.
Yeah, it starts with a really powerful shot. It starts with something that is like kind of seared into my mind. Like that whole scene of him just marching into Jabba's palace and taking it over is now kind of iconic.
Yeah.
There was a Hallmark Christmas tree Christmas ornament of Boba Fett sitting on Jabba's throne.
Yep.
So like that, I mean, that's a minute and a half or something of television that has become iconic.
Yeah.
So, a lot of us are kind of hanging our hat on that when we think about what the series is going to be about. But I don't know. Like, does Boba Fett with Fennec Shand at his right hand become the crime boss of Tatooine?
That could be one way, I was thinking. But I also think like there's always an antagonist to the protagonist. Not that he's necessarily a protagonist all of a sudden, but for his own series, it's kind of like Venom. Like they came out with that, and it's the anti-hero, right? For your own series, you are the hero.
Yeah.
No other way about it. So for his series, he will be that hero. So who is he going to be going up against, right? Is it going to be the Hutts? Like Jabba's gone, but the Hutts are probably still, at least a partial threat throughout the galaxy, I think, right?
Probably, yeah.
I know they say like with Jabba falling, like that was a big Hutt to fall. No pun intended.
But you know what? That always just causes a power vacuum. Some other ambitious gangster tries to get in there.
Yes, exactly, and that's kind of what's happening.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in that. I had a couple of thoughts because one was why book? Why call it the Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah, I've been wondering about that since the beginning. It sounds like it's almost like it sounds biblical or something.
A little bit, yes. I have 2 theories, or actually, it's really one, but 2 examples that tie to this one.
I have one, so
okay. I want to know yours first.
I'm curious to see if they line up. You want to know mine first?
Yes.
I think the Book of Boba Fett is a John Wick style revenge show.
Okay.
And his book is full of the names of the people he wants to eliminate or take revenge upon.
We are on the exact same page.
You're
but
kidding.
With different examples.
Okay.
Okay, so I like what you're thinking because he is a character that's motivated by revenge.
Mm-hmm.
In the Clone Wars episode where we get him, the 2 that we get him, at least in one of them where he wants revenge on Mace Windu for killing his father.
Yeah.
Right. He hates the Jedi. He's always going after them. So maybe at this point he wants revenge on Luke and Han. That was the biggest thought I had. Was like he just survived the Sarlacc, and so big question: will we get a flashback to how he survived the Sarlacc, or at least an explanation? I think we will.
I think so. I mean, we got the inside of Slave One in The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Which people have wondered about for a long time.
How does that move? And then they show it. You're like, oh.
Yeah, and definitely whatever happened in and out of the Sarlacc pit is way above that in terms of like
What people want to know.
what people want to know.
Ever since we found out that he came back.
Yeah. So, but I could see them doing that. Yeah.
Yes.
And
So,
I could see Favreau and team coming up with some pretty good stuff.
I think so too. They'll have fun with it and make it a good story. So, and maybe that's a whole episode is like a flashback to that.
But so do you think it's a revenge series? Do you think he's going around and
do.
just yeah.
But here are my examples. You're going to love them, hopefully. The first one was, did you ever see The Blacklist with James Spader?
No, I know what it is.
Okay. Is it going to be something like that where every single episode was a title card that says he's got a list of all these like top enemies that he's made and big people that the FBI want to capture, and at the beginning of each episode there's like a number and then the person's name, and it's just like them hunting that next person on his list.
I love it.
So maybe that's what it is. Like
That would be I would be really into that Boba Fett show if that's what that was.
Me too. And I was trying, like, number 1 and 2 on that list are Han and Luke.
Who else is on that list, do you think?
Oh, at this point, maybe some of the other Hutts, some of the other crime bosses. Mm-hmm. He's worked for a lot of people, and a lot of people have wronged him. Dengar, right? So there could be some other Bosk. There could be some other rival bounty hunters that he wants to go after.
Yeah.
Here was the other thing I thought of. No. Before I do, my other example. So the Blacklist. Mm-hmm. The other example, Ryan from The Office. You remember that episode where he's like writing people's names down? It's like, when I make it big again, I'm gonna like these are the people I'm gonna go after, basically. So anyone that wrongs him,
Yes.
he writes down their name, and he writes down Jim's name.
Except Boba has made it big again.
Yes.
And Ryan doesn't get to have that upswing again in his career.
Yes, exactly. I was like, it's gonna be like Ryan when he gets back on top.
Oh, I love it.
I thought you would appreciate that.
So what's Fennec Shan's motivation and all that?
Well, she's got a life debt to him,
Yep, that's true.
right? I don't think her motivation is any more than, wow,
She's got her cyber guts thanks to him.
Say that again?
She's got her cyber guts thanks to him.
Cyber guts. Yeah, exactly. So I was saved by this guy. Awesome. And now he's the big crime boss on Tatooine. Double awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I'm his number 2. This works. And this is the interesting thing. He's been the one taking the bounties all the time. Now he's going to be issuing them.
Yeah.
I think
you're right.
And Fennec Shan will be his right hand in it all.
Yep.
She'll get the most important bounties.
Yeah.
That he wants her to go after.
Yep.
So, I mean, think about it. The 2 people that he got all of his bounties from before were Jabba, most of them, Jabba and Darth Vader.
Yep.
They're gone. So, what does he want to do? He gets to issue them now. It's about time, I think.
Which is pretty cool. It's a cool inversion. I wonder if he spends a lot of that series sitting in that throne, or if he's out there also causing havoc on his own.
He'll be the Thanos of. Remember with that, they're like, Thanos is all he do is sit in that throne and say cool things.
Yep.
That are mean and menacing.
Yep.
Is that all he does? Oh, he does more than that? Okay, cool. Like, he'll probably get out a couple times. And
I think he'll get out. I think
rockets.
Maybe they'll revive the Rancor pit and he'll throw some people down there.
Yeah.
We'll see. But I think
he killed the Rancor.
Right. True. Maybe they'll get a new one.
Yeah. Maybe. There's got to be another one somewhere on that planet.
But yeah, I think it's a revenge show. I think it's going to be like a satisfying revenge show. Like, I think we're going to see Boba get crossed, and it could be flashbacks to different stories through his bounty hunting career where people crossed him.
Yep.
And then we're going to see the resolution of him going after them. But could be totally wrong. It could be something completely different. I don't know. They haven't told us a darn thing about the show.
And here's why I think the timeline might be a little bit more fluid, because remember, it was originally going to be a movie.
And
right?
that's not the only one of these that we're talking about.
Exactly. And the idea was that it would kind of take place around the time of Solo. So somewhere in between, like as he was taking bounties, somewhere in between Revenge of the Sith and New Hope. So could we see some of the bounties and some of the things that he was doing, in that era before we see him on Tatooine? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so, because we know Fennec Shan's going to be in it, and so Fennec Shan, there's going to be, if there is anything from that timeline, it's going to be flashbacks or something.
Yeah.
The story is here now, and what they teased is here and now.
Yeah.
Right. It's where we are after season 2 of The Mandalorian. So another question: is it going to lead into season 3 of The Mandalorian?
I always assumed it would, but not necessarily, and I don't know what to expect from this in terms of, is this a multi-season show or is this a limited run series? If I had to guess, I would say it's a limited run series. This was supposed to be a film at some point, and now we're going to get 6 or 8 episodes or whatever, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
But I have a hard time right now in my mind separating it from The Mandalorian. It still feels like an offshoot from The Mandalorian that will loop back around somehow to season 3.
See, I have a different take. I think it will. I think it's not that he'll become the main villain necessarily.
Yeah, I agree.
But he's still a Mandalorian out there just as much as Din Djarin is a Mandalorian out there. And my guess is Mandalorian 3 season 3 kind of takes the premise of, all right, now that that's done, let's focus on becoming the Mandalorian again, like bringing our people back together. And that's part of the reason they brought Bo-Katan in.
See, I wonder if Boba Fett's going to want a piece of that.
Yeah, and so I feel like what's happening is like it's kind of just setting up like different rival gangs almost,
Yes.
Rival packs within the Mandalorian race. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see. Anything more you want to speculate on Book of Boba Fett?
The one thing I'll say is I think that this has the potential, especially in the way that we're thinking about it, I think it has the potential to be some of the best action of all the shows that we have coming up.
And remember, so we have Jon Favreau and Filoni that are here.
Jean Favreau.
Bryce Dallas Howard is coming back too.
Yes.
And Robert Rodriguez is going to be directing some of these episodes. And he was the one that directed the big episode where he came back and was reintroduced in his glory. And
is primarily, I think, known for his action work.
Yes. And so I think we're going to be spoiled with the amount of action that we get in it. If it is anything like the tragedy.
I can't wait. I'm going to be sitting there in my Christmas pajamas in December, shoveling popcorn in my face and watching Book of Boba Fett. Life is going to be good.
Yep. Me too. Thank you, Robert.
Yes.
Let's talk Andor. Now, what are some of the facts about Andor?
Oh, that's a good question, man. Let me pull up my notes here for you. All right, so Andor, we know that it's coming in 2022. That's all we know. Could be the end of 2022, could be middle, we don't know.
I think it's middle.
Is it middle?
Because I think Obi-Wan is supposed to be the end.
Aha. Okay. We know that we're getting 12 episodes, which is a hearty amount of Star Wars TV. I was excited when I saw that number.
Yeah, me too.
It is, in a way, a prequel to Rogue One. Takes place 5 years before the events of Rogue One, and really focuses on Andor in the formative years of the rebellion, is what they've said. By the way, cool thing about Diego Luna in this, also served as the executive producer of the series. How cool is that?
Love it.
Yeah. So he is really invested in this in a lot of different ways. And Diego is the guy who is playing the main character, and I guess, behind the scenes doing a ton of work to make the show happen too. So,
and that's the same thing for Ewan McGregor for the Obi-Wan series.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
I love it. I love that they're having their main characters like be more involved and invested in it. That's, that's great. We need that.
Yeah. So I don't know what you're thinking about this particular series. I love the description of the formative years of the rebellion because nothing is clean and polished and easy breezy in its formative years. I think we're going to see some real challenges, some clunky moments, some spots where it's like, oh my gosh, this whole thing just almost fell apart.
Blew up in my face. I'm lucky to be alive type thing. Yep.
So the other thing that's got me excited about it is this and Obi-Wan Kenobi. We've seen some leaked photographs. The pics that we've seen of Kenobi are primarily of actors on set, sort of wrapped up in, they're in costume, but they're wrapped up in like this cloak to cover up the costume. But Andor I don't know if it was a drone or something, but we've seen aerial pictures of outdoor sets and in the UK, and they look really cool. It looks like they've invested a lot in creating this whole world that Andor is going to take place in. So that's just some of the backdrop for our speculation here today.
And one other tidbit that I picked up on that was, so in terms of characters, we know that Diego Luna is going to reprise Andor. Mon Mothma is going to be in there as well, and eventually K2SO too.
Oh, nice! Is it gonna be the same lady that played Mon Mothma?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
she looks just like her.
Genevieve or something. I can't remember. I can't remember.
It's a little bit freaky. It's her.
Yeah, it looks just like her.
It's amazing.
Great. And then the only other big name actor that we know in it that I at least recognize was Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah.
So lot to look forward to. There's been a lot of people casted, but we still got a lot of people to learn. But the interesting thing that I kind of picked up on, or that I thought about, was, will we get a introduction scene of K2SO and Andor? I really think we will. I hope we do. And I kind of hope it's something like we got with Han and Chewie in Solo. You know, where it's like they're fighting and have a conflict with each other before they come on the same page. Like, I actually just finished playing Fallen Order, right? And in Fallen Order, you have to fight some of those droids.
Yeah.
What is he, like a protocol droid for the Empire? Right?
Yeah, I forget what their general name is.
Yeah. But you kind of have to fight them, and after you fight them, you can slice them and take control of them. I wonder if you're going to get something like that with
Dude, I remember that.
K2SO.
Yeah, very cool.
So that's something I really hope that we get to see, and I almost imagine that we will. And then have that be like near the beginning, and then see them go on some missions together, infiltrating the Empire, things like that.
I love it. I think they got to give you that in some version, because one of the things that I like almost as much as an individual hero origin story is like a friendship or duo origin story. And I love in Solo when Solo meets Chewbacca.
Yeah.
And so I think they got to have that version, some version of that.
Some version of that. It's not going to be the exact same, because it's not. It isn't. Right?
Yep.
But something like that to see them get started would be really cool.
Yeah.
Because that's a good pair. One of those pairs in Star Wars that just goes together and you think of all the time.
Totally. But I think the casting tells you some things about what to expect. The fact that they got Stellan Skarsgård. Is it Stellan or Skellen?
I don't know. I think it's Stellan.
The fact that they got Mr. Skarsgård tells you something about what character is going to be in it. And it could be a flashback. It could be something from a distance or whatever. But we're going to get some insight into the making of the Death Star and so on. So that should be pretty cool too.
Wait, how does he get involved with making the Death Star?
Isn't he the scientist?
Galen Erso?
Yeah, isn't he Galen?
You're thinking of somebody else.
What's that guy's name?
Because that's not Stellan Skarsgård. That is, oh man, you're really testing me today. I will look it up and get right back to you. Keep going.
That I have no point then if that's the wrong person.
It's something different. Here we go. No, it's definitely not him. That's who I was thinking of.
Who's that guy?
That Stellan Skarsgård? He's been in a ton of stuff. He's been in some Marvel stuff. I know.
I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm a fan of his. I know who he is.
Okay. Thor. That's what he's. Yeah.
Yeah. But look, here's what I think Andor is going to be about. I think it's going to be sort of a like a cloak and dagger spy series where there is a lot of sneaking around and secret codes and exchanging information for credits and Bothans risking their lives to get information from here to there. I think it's going to be a spy show.
Yeah.
Which I love the idea of that. I think there's going to be double crossing. I think there's going to be secret agents. I think there's going to be heartbreak and stuff like that. But I think it's ultimately going to be, like in between the action sequences on Mission Impossible, you're still giggling.
I'm still giggling. Sorry. It's like the wrong time to be giggling too. Sorry.
In between the action sequences, like in a Mission Impossible, that's what I think this show is going to be.
I like that idea.
Do you?
I like the the idea of like Mission Impossible in Star Wars, so I'm loving that.
Awesome.
Now, do you want to know why I'm giggling?
Yes.
I was just thinking of that cartoon that I found this week when you said like the Bothans getting involved.
Yes. Describe that cartoon,
Yes,
please.
so it's like a 4-panel cartoon of Mon Mothma and Akbar.
Yep.
Standing next to each other and saying the line like
Admiral
many Bothans
Akbar.
What's that?
Admiral. Show
Akbar.
some
Thank you. Saying many Bothans died to bring us this information, and then Akbar goes into this like sarcastic. Tony's like, they die in every submission I send them on. I sent them to give me coffee, all dead. I died of laughter, and so when he said that line, it just made me revisit that beautiful cartoon.
Nice.
Anyway, sorry.
Don't apologize. It's okay.
So one thing that I guess for me, if I'm the creatives behind this and I'm trying to get some inspiration and go, okay,
Yeah.
what are we going to base this whole show off of?
Yep.
It's the lines that he says in Rogue One when he's trying to tell Jin, I'm on your side. We're going to go do this mission. He said, I've done a lot of things for the rebellion. A lot of things that keep me up at night that are questionable. And he's kind of scarred by it.
Yeah.
Right? I think they're going to take inspiration from that speech. That
For sure.
Gives. They're going to show you some of the difficult choices. They showed you one of them at the very beginning of Rogue One when he had to kill that informant.
Right.
Right then and there. And he kills him. He looks down and like, I can't believe I just did this. I am so disgusted at myself for doing this. But I had to for the mission because otherwise he would have been like, that's your guy, and said like somebody's going after your plans and giving me away. Like he's a spy. That's what spies kind of have to do.
Yeah.
So think Mission Impossible. Maybe think a little bit of Bourne Identity. That would be neat.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I think they're going to show you some of those questionable choices that he has to make and really challenge him as a character. Like he was a child soldier. So maybe we'll see some flashbacks to him as a child.
That's a good point. But I think real quick, it's funny that you mentioned Bourne because I think the guy who's the showrunner for Andor worked on the Bourne series.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh.
So fold that
Good
in
catch.
and that experience, and there could be some really good action there too, and psychological thriller type stuff on top of the action.
If that's the case, we're gonna get some of the best speeder chases that we've ever seen in Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Better than Attack of the Clones, maybe.
Oh man.
Oh, I'm excited for this
should be
because that's
good.
what Bourne's known for. It's like all their car scene chases.
Yep.
That's just the best stuff in the world.
And like real close quarter fist fights. They're always like, oh, we're in a phone booth and we have to have a fist fight.
Yeah, exactly. We can do this. Can you get the camera in here?
Yep.
I didn't ask Ken. I mean, how can you get the camera in here? Yeah, so I think we're going to get a lot of those like flashbacks and see some of those difficult things. And it's going to develop him as a character in a lot of ways. He's going to face temptation to run away from the rebellion a lot of times. He's going to have to go through some personal trauma, maybe some personal loss along the way, and really question why he's part of the rebellion.
Yeah.
Because as a character, that's who he is. He's made the choice to stay because he believes in it, but it's been a hard choice because...
That's a good point. That has to get tested in a big way at some point, right? Like he has to go through some type of internal crisis and land back at, yes, this is the right thing to do. Like, I don't think he's just sort of born for it and lives and breathes it and never doubts it. I think he probably goes through something that breaks his heart or whatever, and he realizes like, yeah, this is still the right thing, even though it's so painful.
Yeah, so it's not going to be your like typical spy series where I feel like every spy is just like they're bad, they're cool, and they're
stone cold, and that's just what they do.
Yep. He's not going to be that kind of spy.
Yeah.
He's going to be more reluctant. But he's going to realize that it's for a greater cause.
Yeah.
And he's got to believe in it and fight to believe in it. It's going to be nice because it'll prove that it's not easy to be a rebel.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to do some questionable things.
Yeah.
And if it comes easy to anyone, that should be questionable too.
Especially like going back to the description about it's the formative years. Like you look ahead and it seems big and organized and there's a whole bunch of people around you and everybody's bought in on the rebellion and so on. But there were times when it wasn't that well structured and you weren't surrounded by a lot of people that gave you comfort that this is going to be a success.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. At that time, you were kind of on your own.
Right.
And it was hodgepodge, like thrown together.
Yeah.
Like there's a big ragtag group. The whole rebellion is.
Yeah.
Like very little trust that you can build on, but you have the one belief that the Empire is evil, and that's it.
Right.
And we got to fight back, no matter what it takes.
And we're the people to do it.
And we're the people who do it. Some of them have lived through war before, and some of them are brand new to it or thrust into it. Like, he is thrust into it as a child. And so we're going to have to explore that and what it does to a guy's psyche.
Do we get Saw Gerrera in it?
Good question. I mean, I don't think he's been cast, but I think it would be kind of cool if we did. I mean, we've gotten him in so many other mediums, too, where I don't feel like I'll be gypped if we don't.
Yeah. I mean, you were just playing Jedi Fallen Order. We get him in that.
We get him in that. We get him in Rebels. We get him in Bad Batch. We get him in Clone Wars. We get him everywhere.
Yeah.
So I won't feel like he's underserved if we don't get him.
That's fair.
Maybe
fair.
because we haven't seen him as much in that phase. Oh, with Rebels we have, so yeah, maybe we will.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're satisfied. So who knows?
Do you think that Andor is a 1-season series?
No.
Okay.
Partially because of the comment that was made maybe by Alan Tudyk, who says that he wouldn't be coming until season 2. So I know I speculated that maybe he's going to be at the beginning, but we will find out. So I do hope that there's more than one season to this. What about you?
Yeah, I hope so as well. And I love the different, like the contrasts of these different shows that we have coming down the pike. And the fact that they're coming out at different times means that that subsequent seasons may come out at different times too. And we might just get spoiled for the next few years with a bunch of really good live action Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, like anything else, I think the critical reception and the business success of the show matters in terms of whether or not it comes back. But I feel like Rogue One holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts when it comes to Star Wars shows.
You either loved it or you hated it.
And the people who love it, love it.
Yep.
And they're going to show up for this show. And I have every bit of confidence it's going to be really good. So why wouldn't we get a season 2?
Even though Solo didn't do as well, I think they do the same. Akira would be just as successful. People love that character. People loved Diego Luna playing Andor.
People love Enfys Nest. People,
yes,
like, and maybe we'll get Enfys Nest. I don't know.
maybe she'll just poke her head in at one point.
She'll fly by in the background, and people will freak out and throw their popcorn in the air.
Exactly. They threw their popcorn in the air at just hearing TK numbers this past weekend.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah. Anyway, great show that we're all looking forward to.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the last episode or the last season. Sorry, the last series.
Yes.
That we're gonna get, which is the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. And now we just talked about Obi-Wan Kenobi or in our last episode.
Yep.
But we're gonna talk about him a little bit more again. There's more to his story.
Yes, and it's a good segue because it's my understanding that this was also meant to be a feature film.
Yep.
That was. Some studio executive made the call to not make it a feature film after, I'll do in air quotes, the financial failure of Solo.
Yes.
Solo was just not the hit at the theaters, at the box offices that we expected.
Not for how much they spent.
Yep. And so there was a little bit of a reorganization of the game plan of what Star Wars content was going to come out. And one of the things that changed was they made Kenobi into a series. And by the way, I keep forgetting that the show itself is actually called Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right.
I keep calling it Kenobi in my head. I just thought it was just the
shorthand, I guess.
Yep.
But yeah, it is the full name. You're right.
So it's the full name. We know we have Ewan McGregor coming back. We know that we have Hayden Christensen coming back.
Who's that? Just kidding. Just keep going.
They're two former AHL hockey players from Reading, Pennsylvania.
That's where I've heard
They
them
played
from.
for the Royals in the early 80s, around Jim Craig's time.
Yeah. Bench warmers. Okay.
Is that the guy's name, Jim Craig?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But, all right, so Obi-Wan Kenobi is set 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. We know that we're going to get 6 episodes in 2022, and I think you've already pointed out that Ewan McGregor is going to be in the producer seat for this one. Mm-hmm. We've seen a few leaked photos of Ewan McGregor, again, wrapped up in some type of like black robe to cover up the fact that he's in costume, so the pictures of the costume don't leak. But they're filming. That means that they're making this. It's on its way.
It's filming in the volume, which is part of the reason why they can't just film them all right away. I think it was the Book of Boba Fett that had the wrap filming, and then they're like, okay, time to kick off Kenobi, and the next production crew came in.
Oh, so it's literally in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
yeah.
cool.
And that's the beautiful thing about using the volume and that state-of-the-art filming studio that they've been able to build.
Oh, it's so cool.
And they've been able to follow COVID protocols and all that kind of stuff as they did it. So it's just been easier than finding locations. You create the location.
You create it. That's a really good point. And that was one of the reasons that I felt more certain that we would get Bad Batch season 2 because, right now, unfortunately, we're in this time when the Delta variant's taking off again. But making an animated show is one of those things where you don't have to be in the same place. And so it's a little bit easier, I guess. But it seems like up until this point, at least, they've been able to do a lot of the work that they needed to do the principal photography of the show. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the folks are on set, and we've seen pictures of them. So this is on its way. But the question is, all right, 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, but what is the story? What are we going to get? What are we going to get?
And I could see it going so many different directions. I think the throwing in Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader really threw a kink in everything I thought of with this. Because I guess I couldn't fathom him coming back.
Without Hayden Christensen, what did you think the show was going to be?
I thought it was going to be kind of a sequel to Solo in a way, and they were going to deal with the cliffhanger of bringing Maul back, at least in live action. I know he's in all these other mediums, but there is still a gap of time where I feel like with Maul's story, there's something to be figured out with, where he's the leader of Crimson Dawn.
Yep.
And kind of running a big crime syndicate, and he eventually falls from that and becomes the vagabond that we see in Rebels, and eventually, meets his demise in Rebels. Mm-hmm. And so there's a gap in his story, I feel, where you could tell it with Obi-Wan and him. Like, they've had so many confrontations over the years leading up to the final one that we see. What's one more in that?
Yeah.
And then I think, okay, that would be cool. Fine. More confrontations with Maul. Okay. Fill that gap and retell that story. Fine. Where's the character development in that, though? I think there's something, because the last time we see Obi-Wan, before we get him in New Hope, obviously, he's becoming more wise Jedi. A Jedi Master with wisdom as his main leader, the Peacekeeper.
Yeah.
Whereas before he was the warrior. So we're going to see him in that transition period. And maybe Maul is kind of the test of that transition. Are you going to be the warrior Jedi, or are you going to be the peacemaker Jedi? And so that's where I could see some character development happening. But I feel like Maul has to come in here somewhere because of the cliffhanger we got in Solo.
Probably. The first place that my mind went, and I kind of keep going back to, are the years on Tatooine beyond the Dune Sea where he starts to become old Ben Kenobi.
Yeah.
That transitional period where he's a little bit of a hermit, but I question how much of a hermit. So somebody posted on Twitter just the other day a screenshot from a comic book where it's Obi-Wan Kenobi and Owen Lars arguing, and as if they knew each other, as if they had regular contact, as if they had regular conversations about
they did.
About the future of Luke.
Yep.
So I could see confrontations like that, but with Owen Lars saying, "Leave the kid alone. Don't drag him into this nonsense that got his father where his father is, and you're living as a hermit in a hut. Kid's better off just having a life as a moisture farmer or whatever." And then Obi-Wan realizing that there's something special about him, and he keeps an eye on him and keeps him safe from a distance. And I think it was the Shadows of the Empire book that tells all these stories about Obi-Wan fending off different folks who are coming with bad intentions for Luke Skywalker without Luke ever even knowing it, without Owen and Aunt Beru even knowing about it.
Yeah.
So I think it could be...
And then probably get that treatment that he gets from Owen, and at least Owen.
Yeah.
Probably has to hurt in a way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I think we see some of that stuff. I like the way that you're putting it about, he's older, he's wiser, he's transitioning to potentially be the peacekeeping Jedi. I think that transition kind of happens in the desert beyond the Dune Sea on Tatooine. And I think we see some of that character maturation, I guess, of him growing up and growing wiser. But in terms of what's the big conflict of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series? And I don't think that is a layup. I think it could be a lot of different things.
And maybe that's why it is better to be told more episodically.
Yeah.
Is that a word?
It sure is. It sure is. Yeah.
In this episodic fashion, because
From
you
the
can
Greek,
tell, what's that?
episodicus.
What?
From the Greek episodicus,
I hope that's true.
meaning to slice into smaller pieces.
I think it's slice and dice into smaller.
Yes, you're right.
Right?
You're right. Yep.
All right, we've really lost it. Mads Mikkelsen, by the way, was the name of
Mads Mikkelsen. Yes.
Galen Urso.
Yeah. Which
he's
sounds a
in
lot
so
like
many-
Skellen Skarsgård.
What's that?
It sounds exactly like Skellen Skarsgård.
I think they're both. Gosh, let me just make
They're
sure.
both humans from Earth.
They're both. No, Mads Mikkelsen is Danish, and I'm trying to remember what Stellan Skarsgård is. I thought he was Swedish.
Love a Danish.
So, anyway, so
I love a Danish pastry.
and there we are. We have lost Jan.
But they're lovely people too.
Yes, they are.
What's the other? Skellen Skarsgård's Swedish?
I think so. I got to double check.
We got to get that right because I think Sweden is number 4 in terms of our listeners.
He is.
Yeah?
Yeah, he is Swedish.
Okay.
I got that right.
Hey, big shout out to all of our listeners in Sweden. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for tuning in.
Thank you very much.
Both of you. You're terrific.
Stop it. All right. So where was I with that? I don't even know what my transition was anymore.
You know what? We do have some predictions from our friend Publicly Shamed.
I had a great segue for that because that's where I was going next, but
Okay, I'll let you
we got
segue.
distracted. But so we got a great email that kind of helped us to almost be inspired for this episode too. Where our buddy Publicly Shamed reached out.
Whose real name rhymes with Smellin' Smarsgard.
You're gonna make him really mad by even just pretending like you're about to say his real name. So yeah,
Publicly Shamed from Stockholm, Sweden.
yes, publicly shamed reached out and asked us to discuss the possibility of Ahsoka and Obi-Wan teaming up or meeting up, I should say, on the show, and Ahsoka learning what Obi did to Anakin. And do we think that she's going to be mad about that? Do we think that Obi would lie about it, just like he does to Luke? Like, what do we expect to see? So let me start with: do I expect us to see Ahsoka? I will admit that I didn't think about it happening in this in this series. It could, because we have Ahsoka introduced to us now.
Yep.
It could, in the timeline, feasibly make sense for them to interact. Because it is episodic, that was my segue. Because it is episodic in the way that we're telling the story, it could be easy to throw in an Ahsoka episode.
Pop in one, yeah.
And have it be a nice teaser for the eventual Ahsoka series that we're going to get.
Yeah.
So would I like to see that? Absolutely. Would love it. And if we do see it, then I do think it's going to be a bit of a reconciliation. Now, I don't feel like they have as strong of a relationship as obviously Anakin and Ahsoka did. But if you're also bringing Anakin into this as well, maybe that's I don't know, maybe that's a way to kind of bridge that a little bit, is have Ahsoka be there too. I don't know.
Yeah. But
But I also know that you can't really, given what we see in Rebels, the confrontation between Ahsoka and Vader there and Anakin there, it wouldn't necessarily make sense to make them meet up before that, or you'll really mess with canon then.
yeah.
So you gotta tread a lot of lines, and that's the hard thing that Lucasfilm has, is they've told so many stories in a timeline that is so convoluted. They've told it here and then over there, and then they've jumped back, and then they've told it in the middle, and it's not one straight timeline.
That's why they literally have to pay people to manage that.
Yes.
There are people who watch the stories and make sure everything lines up the right way in a logical way, and so it's gotten too complex.
It has, and you've decided that this is the right time to tell this story. So make sure you don't run into conflicts with it if you tell the story earlier that involves these characters, because it all has to eventually mesh together and be cohesive. Maul is our best example of that, where you jumped around in his timeline and told so many pieces of his story. So if he's gonna come back, it's gotta make sense for where we eventually pick up with him in Rebels.
Yeah.
So that's my thoughts on answering his question. What would you say?
I think it could happen, and I think you make a perfect point, which is, if this is an episodic series, there's a lot that can happen in one episode that doesn't have to become the focal point of the entire show.
Yes.
And I think one of the focal points of the show is going to be the evolution of Obi-Wan Kenobi as a character. This maturation that we've been talking
That's
about.
going to be the focus.
And a good way to do that on TV or in movies is to have that foil that we've talked about before, which is a character that comes in to help shape or uncover something about a character or help another character evolve. And an interaction with Ahsoka could potentially do that in some ways.
And here's what I would love to do, and if I think about like what should happen chronologically and what whatever the adventure is that they go on is what it is. But what should happen if they do interact is Obi-Wan should be the catalyst that gets Ahsoka involved with the rebellion.
Oh, I like that.
And because eventually she does. So how that happens or what she does or what sparks her involvement to eventually go into or become part of the rebellion is still a mystery, I think. So solve that mystery with the Obi-Wan series.
Yeah.
Get them involved and have Obi-Wan say to her, listen, I can't be part of the rebellion. I need to be here for reasons I can't tell you because of the safety of Luke.
Yeah.
And Leia, not to forget. Like, he knows where she is too. So instead, I need you to go be in the rebellion as if I was there because I can't. Mm-hmm. And so he's going to try to convince her to get involved. That could be the way in.
Yeah. Potentially.
Anyway, who knows?
Who knows?
This is all speculation at the end of the day.
It's all speculation. But I appreciate that our buddy Publicly Shamed sent us a cool email and put that idea forward. What the heck happens with Hayden Christensen in this? What the heck happens with Darth Vader? Because I think when they first started talking about the series, one of the things that they pitched us was that there's going to be a showdown between the two of them.
Yeah.
And I think pretty much everybody automatically assumed that means epic lightsaber battle of some kind, but not necessarily, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Hayden Christensen's introduction to the cast, I think, threw a wrench into things to a certain degree.
Yes, it really did. Again, because my money was on Maul being the big bad. Maybe there's somebody else that hasn't been introduced yet. We get a new character. Awesome.
Yeah.
But Hayden Christensen, and so my guess is that he is kind of the big bad that maybe comes in at the end and you get to see that happen again. You also, again, that's another example. You don't want to mess with the timeline. You don't want to mess with the dialogue that has happened. Like, they haven't technically met since Revenge of the Sith. Since, what's the planet? Crap.
Mustafar.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's been 10 years.
Yes.
At least.
So we've got a lot to tiptoe around.
Yeah.
To make sure that we don't step on canon.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I don't know. And it could be that Obi-Wan spends a lot of his time in this series in the shadows, hiding on Tatooine and so on, while Darth Vader's star is rising across the galaxy as a heavy-handed, just dark force in the universe. And, that could be the contrast that they're experiencing. And it could be Obi-Wan continuing to do his best to hide Luke and protect. And there could be some baby Leia in this or something too. Like, you never know.
I think they should bring her in. I do think we're gonna get Luke.
Yeah,
absolutely have to. He's gonna be 10.
Yeah,
so we should be able to see him as a little boy. That'd be great.
Wait, how old is in the Phantom Menace? How old is Anakin?
I can't remember. 9.
So like right around there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So so that's kind of cool. So.
That would be great to see him. But I do think that, and I do think maybe we'll get some Organa in there too.
Yep.
Because Leia knows. Yeah, years ago you fought with my father in the Clone Wars, right? She knows who Ben Kenobi is.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, as she knows him. So how does she learn about him?
Right.
And do we get to see Organa come into the picture so that Kenobi stays fresh in his mind, so that he can tell the tales of Kenobi to her daughter, his daughter? I think we'll see something like that.
Yeah, that would be very cool.
I feel like I had one more thing before we part, and that is just, this is the one thing that I think could happen to make the Vader Obi-Wan conflict work, is that they don't know who the other one is.
Oh, I like that.
And this is how Obi-Wan learns what happened to Vader. Like, he walks away not knowing what his fate is.
Right. That's a good point that I think a lot of people overlook. It's not like he picked up the newspaper the next day.
Yeah.
And saw that the Empire scooped him up and they put him in this crazy suit.
Or that he looked at him in this crazy suit and thought, that's Anakin.
Right.
Like-
He doesn't necessarily know. Right. So that could be the perfect way to do it, is them sort of explaining that, yeah, he doesn't know what happened. And here they are, butting heads, not knowing who the other one is.
Who the other one is. Yeah. And saying, and not realizing it until much later on.
And until the Force senses it, and all of a sudden they realize who it is that they're up against. But that could be a really good way to kind of back into it. Yeah, that's a good call.
If we post this episode and then we automatically take it down, it's because Lucasfilm called us and was like, "How'd you find this stuff?"
Right. Who leaked what?
But let's just be clear: we know nothing, and we're speculating.
Oh,
But
I think
just that.
I think they know that. I think they know that we know
not just
nothing.
them. I'm speaking more to our listeners. As part of speculating, it's fun to imagine. I will love whatever we get. If it doesn't answer these questions, so be it. It'll be good. I'm excited for it all, and this is a testament to how excited I am that I'm wondering what we're gonna get. I'm excited
Same
about
here.
what we could get.
Yeah.
So, that is the end of our episode. Before we pass along to the next episode that we'll record in 2 weeks, what do we want to tease about what we're going to record in 2 weeks?
Actually, we missed one of the predictions that I think you and I both thought were really cool from our friend Publicly Shamed.
Oh, what's that?
He said, wouldn't it be cool if Dr. Aphra popped up
Chelly Afra.
in Book of Boba Fett? And if you're not familiar with Dr. Aphra, run, don't walk to your nearest comic book store and get a volume of Dr. Aphra comics. Basically, the gist is that Dr. Aphra is in the Star Wars universe, an archaeologist with no moral compass.
Right.
So
And
she
with
will,
some very questionable, not even questionable, pretty bad droids on her side.
with some evil, scary droids, a scary Wookiee in her employ. Just imagine if Indiana Jones had no scruples and, even worked for Darth Vader at a certain point. Like that's basically the Dr. Aphra story, which if the Book of Boba Fett becomes like a revenge show, having somebody like that on his side could be pretty useful. So
Yeah.
I love that prediction. So, thank you to Publicly Shamed for the awesome emails that we've gotten over the last couple of weeks. We love when folks reach out to us. Publicly Shamed, who again is not actually from Sweden. We don't know where he's from, and we're 99% sure he's not Skellen Skarsgård.
But
there's
we are 100% sure he's on planet Earth.
we are 100% sure he's on this. Well, I don't know about that.
I mean, if he is from a galaxy far, far away, then come get me now.
Yes, pick us up. And you know where to find us. And if you're ever in Philadelphia, we'll take you out for a cheesesteak, Publicly Shamed. So
There you go.
Hit us up.
There you go.
But what were we were going to talk about the next episode?
So the next episode is going to be our recap of season 1 of The Bad Batch.
Yes.
Now, we have gone over each of the episodes with you here as we've been watching them the past few months, enjoying them with you. But this is going to be our recap where we go through some of our favorite moments and talk about, now that we know the end, let's revisit the beginning and see the full arc. Because that's something I'm really excited about, is kind of see how this whole story kind of comes together within this first season.
Yep.
What pieces that they tie up and what pieces that they leave dangling for season 2. So that'll be what we focus on the next episode, and recapping what has been a great season so far, a great series so far.
Yep. Yeah, I'm pumped for that one. And it's wild that at first I thought the season was going to be shorter than it was, but it's wild to think that by the time we sit down to record next, we'll have gotten 16 episodes of this great new TV show.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. Time has flown, I guess. But
Time has flown.
it's been a long time since May 4th, since Star Wars Day. when
Yeah,
it got
it
aired.
really has. My
So,
gosh.
A lot has happened. Where can people reach us?
Oh, a few places. So if you're on the Twitter, you can get us at Starbros Podcast. And we'd love to connect with you on there. You can send us a message through that, or just tag us in your Star Wars memes. We love that as well.
Yep.
You can find us on the Broaxium YouTube channel. And the Broaxium YouTube channel is an excellent place for all types of Star Wars content, including the best, in my opinion, my humble opinion, the best Star Wars comic book content on YouTube.
Yes.
There. I said it. I'm not going to apologize for it. I genuinely think like the quick shot episodes where our bro hosts and sometimes us
Yep.
give previews of that week's Star Wars comics. I think that's some of the best content. It's the best. It's the best Star Wars comic book content. It's accessible. If you're new to Star Wars comics, check it out. You'll fall in love with it right away. But we also
You'll
have
be running, not walking to your comic book store.
Run, don't walk. Tell them Bro Axiom sent you. So there's a ton of great stuff on the Bro Axiom YouTube channel, including our episodes of our most recent podcasts. So thank you to Chris Ryans at Chris Ryans on Twitter for putting together our episodes and putting them up there. And then you can email us, good old fashioned email, like our bro publicly shamed. You can email us at thestarbrospodcast@gmail.com. thestarbrospodcast@gmail.com. And there
I felt like that was one of those telemarketer commercials where it like repeats the phone number.
Yep.
Again, that is 810.
No cash on delivery.
Oh wait, what is the area code? 1-800. That's what I meant to say.
1-800. Yep. But yeah, and there you can email us anything. You can email us your theories about the next season of Bad Batch. You can tell us that you want to hear more of whatever on the show, or whatever it might be.
Our show,
right? If you, send an email to somebody else if you don't like it. But whatever it is that you want to talk about, we're happy to exchange emails about Star Wars because we love it. So
we love communicating with all of our fans and with everybody that puts up with our voices for as long as they do.
Yes.
Every episode. So
bless your hearts.
Thank you to all of our fans. Thank you for being here. We're excited to continue to bring you these fun conversations that we have.
Yes.
And hope that you laugh with us. Hope that you don't want to punch us too hard when we screw up somebody's name or where they're from.
Sorry, everyone.
Yeah, sorry, everyone. Disclaimer now. Thank you, though, for just being here and making this a fun ride for us.
Yes, thank you.
What else do we got?
Oh, I think there's one more thing.
One more? Oh, it's my turn, too.
I think it's your turn to do that one more. What is it that we have to say?
Okay, here we go. Let me. It's been a while, so. Oh yeah, it's a wrap.